Okay, we're going to get started, if everybody can take their seats. The hour of 2 p.m. having passed, the Adoption and Child Welfare Committee will come to order. Clerk, please take the roll.
Ness.
Here.
Musman. Here. Reich. Here. Crawford. Here. Davis J. Here. Davis L. Here. Deering. De La Rosa. Here. Hernandez. Here. Laha. Here. LaPointe. Olico.
Here.
You got 11 members.
So LaPointe is outside. She's right there.
Okay.
She'll be inside.
Okay, so with 11 members present, we have a quorum. So today, clerk, please add Rep. LaPointe to the roll. Okay. So today we're going to hear two bills. We have House Bill 4966 by Representative Cassidy and House Bill 4242 by Rep. Deering. We'll be hearing House Committee Amendment number 1. So with that, Chair acknowledges Rep. Cassidy to present her bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. This bill will be coming back for an amendment. This is an effort working with the ACLU of Illinois to create statutory reforms to protect the rights of youth in DCFS care to receive non-discriminatory care. We are deep in negotiations with DCFS. The conversations are going really well. And so my ask of you today is to allow me to keep this bill alive and come back with an amendment shortly. And I am joined by Nora Collins-Mandeville from the ACLU if you have any specific questions.
Okay, before we get to that, let me read the witness slips. We have 78 proponents and 245 opponents and 0 no position. Representative Minority Spokesperson Reich, do we have permission to waive the reading? Thank you. Proceed.
I would be more than happy to just take questions. If you'd like to get some ideas of what the amendment is starting to look like, I could give you that if that's helpful. The scope of the bill remains largely intact. We're going to have better defined processes and streamline some of the requirements. The new section of the Children and Family Services Act focused on youth-directed placement is coming out, and there are strengthened protections with explicit non-discriminatory requirements.
Are there questions from the committee? Representative Deering.
Thank you, Chair. To the sponsor, my overall concern is thinking about eliminating the ability to place children in certain states based on their resources possibly available to the youth you're describing. I'm thinking of a personal situation of a constituent that is a resident of Wisconsin. She has a child currently in foster care in Illinois, but is asking for it to be returned to Wisconsin for the best interest of the child. I'm just concerned that we're blanketly eliminating placement in states.
There is no blanket elimination here at all. This is very much about taking each case on a case-by-case basis and ensuring that the needs of the youth in care are being met and that their rights are respected, but that there's a balance to that.
And you intend to make that very specific
yes.
in the language of the amendment?
Yes.
And if you, thank you. If you could back up, I was trying to write down your basics of the amendment. You said something was eliminated.
There's a new section that's being eliminated. There's a new section in the Children and Family Services Act that's referred to as youth-directed placement. That whole section's coming out.
Of your bill?
Yes. Yes, it was created, and now it's being uncreated.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you.
Are there other questions? So, Representative, just for clarity, can you just repeat that?
This bill will be held on second until we get to come back to you with a complete amendment and have a robust discussion on all of the details.
Thank you very much. Okay. So there being no further debate, Representative De La Rosa moves that House Bill 4966 do pass. Do we have leave? Partisan leave. So leave being granted on a vote of 8 in favor and 4 opposed and 0 voting present. House Bill 4966 is declared passed and will be favorably reported to the House floor. Thank you, Representative.
Thank you so much.
There's not an amendment currently. It's
No, the
coming back.
amendment's coming back.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, Chair recognizes Representative Deering to present House Bill 4242.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Minority Spokesperson Reich, and members of the committee. I would like to adopt the amendment as presented here today. This amendment does bring DCFS to neutral on the bill. Do I need to do that step first?
Sure, we can do that first. So Representative Reich moves that the committee do adopt House Bill Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 4242. All those in favor, oh, it's a committee amendment. Representative Reich moves that the committee do adopt House Committee Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 4242. All those in favor say aye, opposed say nay. In the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, and the amendment is adopted. Proceed.
Thank you very much. So the reason behind this bill was a constituent concern that was found to be indicated by the agency, and indicated perpetrators do currently receive a letter of such notice, and that includes the process of your right to an appeal as well as your right to the investigative file that has been created. And the constituent concern was that there is...
I'm sorry, Representative, I'm going to interrupt you for a sec. I just need to read the witness slips, and then you can proceed. So for the original bill had 13 proponents and 1 opponent, Letitia Benberry, but the amendment now shows 1 proponent, 0 opponents, and 0 no positions. So please proceed.
Thank you. As I was saying, the process can be a little bit complicated. If you currently file an appeal, you are receiving a complete investigative file that includes records as a result of your indicated finding, whereas if you don't file an appeal, you will have lesser rights to information in the file, primarily based on redaction, based on what you're entitled to. So we had multiple conversations with the legal department of DCFS to come to an agreed upon amendment, recognizing that, yes, in fact, indicated perpetrators do have access to their investigative file, but the language now says any records are subject to redaction or withholding as required by state and federal law. So I didn't get all the way to where I wanted in my request, but I do think the language allows for more complete steps and ideally our goal of streamlining the process. Happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions from the committee? Minority Spokesperson Reich.
But a perpetrator, if this thing goes to trial, the perpetrator will be allowed to have redacted portions.
Representative, can you please speak in the microphone for the record? Thanks.
Sorry about that. So the perpetrator, or the person who's the defendant in this case, would be, that redacted information would be made available in discovery if it ever got to that point. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? I want to thank the representative for the work you did on this bill. I think it's an important step for, especially as part of the Biological Parent Bill of Rights that we've recently enacted, and looking at that process and making it easier for individuals and people to understand the process and have an explanation, right, as it's happening. So thank you for reaching out early and for the work you've done on this. It's a good bill. So with no further questions, there being no further debate, Representative Laha moves that House Bill 4242 do pass as amended. Do we have leave? Seeing no Democrats leave being granted on a vote of 12 in favor and 0 opposed and 0 voting present. House Bill 4242 is declared passed as amended and will be favorably reported to the House floor. And
you all.
Representative, please add me to your bill.
I will do that. Thank you so much.
Just one more thing for the committee before we recess to the call of the chair. Representative Meyer, House Bill 5129, we had a conversation this morning. He's going to come back and do a hearing on the bill. It is an issue that I think would benefit our committee to hear more about, and so it needs a little more work, but we'll hear it before the session's over. Additionally, we are working on a subject matter hearing on the topic of the investigative process that DCFS does. And so we're working with the agency right now, and we're looking at that for the week that we come back after our break. So just want to give you all a heads up on that. Otherwise, with there being no more business, the Adoption and Child Welfare Committee will recess to the call of the chair. Thanks, everybody.
Members of the committee, Leader Spain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A question for the department of why is it that you believe rulemaking is the more appropriate method of increasing fees rather than through statute?
Good afternoon, Leader. Appreciate the question. I think some of this we might have covered on the substantive consideration of the bills last week, but very top line, we think it's a bit of an efficiency issue. We have many of these fees that have not been raised in some cases since the late 1950s in the Eisenhower administration. There are many acts that the department is responsible for regulating and overseeing. Every time we wanted to match a fee increase with the increasing cost of regulation due to inflation, years and years of the fees not being raised to be commensurate with our regulatory costs. As you know, we receive no GRF dollars, so it's money in, money out in terms of break-even assessments. So this is a way that we can standardize that and match what other divisions at the department have been doing. We see this with the Division of Real Estate, the Division of Professional Regulation, in terms of moving fee setting through the rulemaking process. And as Kurt touched on, the department intends to be fully collaborative with stakeholders to ensure that their concerns are heard and that we, through the rulemaking process, develop fees that pay for the cost of regulation, but in no way, are we trying to make extra money off the back of our licensees. This is simply modernizing, our regulatory costs.
Sure. I would offer two comments in response. First, I think we certainly understand as members of the legislature that fees need to be adjusted. In fact, Representative Didich had a bill just in this committee that did that very thing, that moved forward on a unanimous leave. So I think the legislature is capable of addressing fees as appropriate. But second, I would just say, this is going to pass because the General Assembly would love to kick the can over to JCAR to do the dirty work of adjusting fees on a potentially annual basis going forward. And we work very well together at JCAR. That's no slight against the department, but this is a move of convenience from the legislature, and I agree with Mr. Fiedler that it removes an ability of stakeholder interaction, public transparency, and it puts some more guardrails and more hesitations when we have the issue of fee adjustments staying with the legislature instead of moving it, as we've done many times, over to the rulemaking process. So for that reason, I will not be supporting.
Real quick, Chair, may I add to answer the question? I do want to point out that the vast majority of IDFPR's fees are done in the rulemaking process. It's just the Division of Financial Institutions that seems to have been left out of that. So we are doing this in rulemaking authority, even though I am incredibly sympathetic to the plight of JCAR in so many different ways when it comes to doing the dirty work, as Leader Spain said, of the General Assembly. But I do want to point out that this seems to be the exception in the department. And while I also agree that this committee tends to be very, again, sympathetic to the issues of having to increase fees to deal with inflation and other requirements, back just even like 3 years ago when I had to do increase for the credit unions, which was supported by the credit unions, that was not supported at all by my Republican colleagues in the General Assembly. So there are times where I think that this is necessary to make sure that our agencies that do consumer protection have the funds that are necessary.
Are there further questions from members of the committee? All right, seeing none, there is no further debate. Representative Williams moves to recommend House Floor Amendment Number 1 to House Bill 5384 be adopted. Is there a leave? Partisan. With partisan leave being granted, there are
8 to 4.
8 votes in favor and 4 votes opposed and none voting present. House Floor Amendment Number 1 and House Bill 5384 will be favorably reported to the House floor. And I will turn the chair back over to Rep. Croak.
Awesome. There being no further thank you, Leader Delgado. You did a fantastic job again. There being no further business, the House Financial Institutions and Licensing Committee will recess until the call of the chair. Thanks so much, everyone.